back, we are going to talk about the war between Russia and Ukraine. This war has been happening for the last 1 month or so. And, you know, we hope that it will end soon. But there has been a very big question from the African continent that we have been seeing there's a lot of support from the UN and the American President, Joe Biden. They have been supporting the Ukraine 100%, going firm and beyond, even giving out their budgets to make sure that people in Ukraine are safe, they're secure, and the militants are given the best weapon to fight against Russia. So when it comes to the same United Nations, we have 193 countries which are under the United Nations. Some are from African countries, some are from the westernized countries, but the question still stands. When those countries who are members of the UN have issues of war, the UN don't give a lot of attention the way they're giving to Ukraine. So I keep on asking myself and my fellow Africans, what is the difference? Because if you all belong to these United Nations, it means when we have a problem, we'll be equally given equal support. But we don't see that when it comes to African continent. A very good example is there have been a lot of war happening in Somalia. The UN didn't give Somalia $800 million.
The latest on the war in Ukraine. The U.S. is sending an $800 million new aid package of artillery and drones to ramp up Ukraine's firepower.
The UN did not give Somalia best weapons to end the war.
The selection process in Somalia for new leaders has been drawn out and bloody. One of the latest people to die was opposition MP Amina Mohamed Abdi, a rights activist and prominent government critic. She was among about 50 people who were killed in a twin suicide bombing earlier this week in the city of Beledweyne.
But what they're doing to Ukraine is they've given them the best new fashion of weapons, which are worth billions of US dollars. And they've given them all the food stuff, all this, the emergency stuff that they need. And now there is this big question. The money that the United Nations had promised the Somali people who are in the verge of collapsing because of drought has been diverted to the Ukraine government because of the war.
The IMF this week said, quote, "The war in Ukraine means hunger in Africa." The World Food Programme is also warning of a catastrophe, saying half of the grain it uses to feed the needy originates in Ukraine.
We are only 5 kilometers away from Al-Shabaab-controlled territory. The Islamist terrorist group has a tight grip on Somalia. Daily attacks have become normal. But terror is not the reason why roughly 30,000 people live in this camp. The drought has made their villages uninhabitable. Johara Ali lost all her cows due to the drought. She has no food for her 4-year-old daughter.
My daughter is getting worse every day. She can't keep anything down and is vomiting. I tried to give her tea and powdered milk, but she gets diarrhea straight away.
There is no medicine in the camp. Visiting doctors decide little Ubach has to go to a hospital immediately. 3 rainy seasons in a row have failed.
Somalia at the moment is facing climate disaster, manifesting itself in displacement of massive populations, fleeing their homes in search of life-saving assistance.
In the hospital in the city of Kismayo, malnourished children receive treatment. More than 10 have been admitted today, and the number is growing. The next morning, we want to check on little Ubach again. But the news is bad. We find out that the 4-year-old girl did not survive the night.
We are helpless to them. We can't do anything for them. Those people who are being affected and their malnutrition, they lost their livestock, we are not doing anything for them.
WFP says the problem is being exacerbated by the war in Ukraine. Food supplies coming from there have dwindled, and some aid intended for Somalia has been redirected to Ukraine.
There's a number of donors at the beginning, they already told us that some commodities are heading towards us. Those commodities were already diverted in the sea, heading to Ukraine.
Johara is now worried about her second child, Abdi Fattah. He's also acutely malnourished. On a good day, the family gets one meal, but too often they go to bed hungry.
So I start asking myself, does the United Nations really stand for the principle they say they stand for? Or in the United Nations, the African or black people rather, don't matter to you? Because if the money you had promised to take care of the people of Somalia because of the drought they're going through, children are dying, women are dying, cows are dying, people are dying. Is their life less worth of those white people?
Me, I'm sorry, it's very emotional for me because I see European people with blue eyes and blonde hair being killed, children being killed every day with Putin's missiles and his helicopters and his rockets.
And so, of course, I understand and respect the emotion. What you are outlining there is this tension between longer-term efforts to apply pressure to Vladimir Putin, such as financial sanctions, and the very immediate military threat which you're experiencing.
Who are dying in war in Ukraine? Or we are just members of the United Nations, but when it comes to urgency, the life of the black people don't matter just as much as the life of the white people. So today I ask the United Nations and the President of the USA that if you really stand for what you say, if United Nations really stand for the principles and the values that they say, then it's the right time you start acting and treating all the member countries equally. Somalia is crying. Somalia is weeping. The Africans are weeping. Whatever you promise to deliver, promise it to them, because the life of a child in Somalia is just worth as the same as the life of a child in Ukraine. And we are all creatures of God. There is no one who is above the other. Just because you have a dark skin doesn't qualify that we have to suffer at the expense of those who have a white skin. Thank you very much.